In America today, $800 barely pays for a week's groceries. A few bags at Walmart, a tank of gas, maybe one dinner out, and it's gone. Rent keeps climbing, insurance doubles, and retirement. It's starting to feel like a luxury made for someone else. You worked all your life, you played by the rules. But now, even peace of mind comes with a monthly bill. Yet somewhere out there, that same $800 still buys something real. Not a receipt, not a subscription, a piece of earth. A place you can touch, build on, and maybe, just maybe, call home. No banks breathing down your neck. No bosses deciding when you rest. No endless paperwork to prove you exist. Just land and freedom. Because while the median rent in the US is now over $1,900 a month, and health insurance alone can cost more than $500, there are still corners of the world where $700 to $1,200 buys an entire acre, enough for a garden, a small home, a quiet life. They say land is just dirt. But in truth, land isn't dirt. It's dignity. It's the space to breathe, to plant, to build, to start again. We'll travel to 5 countries where that dignity is still affordable, where starting over isn't just a dream for the rich, but a choice for the brave. So, before we begin, tell me, where would you build your new life? Drop the name of your dream country in the comments below, because by the end of this journey, you might just find your freedom on a map you've never looked at before. 5. Uruguay, where land means citizenship. In a world where residency has become a luxury, Uruguay still gives it to you for simply living there. This small nation, tucked between Argentina and Brazil, has quietly become one of South America's most stable democracies. A place where freedom doesn't scream, it breathes. Here the air smells of the Atlantic wind and freshly cut grass. The rhythm of life moves to the sound of waves, horses, and distant laughter from a village cafe. In the rolling interior provinces like Tacuarembó and Durazno, the land unfolds in endless shades of green. For $1,000 to $2,000 an acre, you can own gentle hills touched by morning mist, with streams of fresh water winding through your property. Foreigners don't just lease, they own. Full, unrestricted freehold ownership protected by one of the most transparent property systems in Latin America. You buy it, it's yours. No tricks, no hidden limits. And what makes Uruguay different is that this isn't just land, it's a doorway to belonging. Arrive with a passport, rent, or buy a home, register your address, and within 6 months, you can apply for permanent residency. Live here 3 years if married, or 5 if single and you're eligible for citizenship. No golden visa, no $1,000,000 investment. Just proof that you actually live here, that you've chosen to be part of this calm corner of the world. The cost of that calm, surprisingly human. A rural house with fruit trees and a view of open sky rents for around $400 to $500 a month. Groceries, fresh milk, bread, wine and meat, about $250. A comfortable life totals between $900 and $1,200 a month. That's not survival. That's dignity. Healthcare is another reason expats stay. Uruguay's public hospitals are free for residents, and private clinics charge only $40 to $70 per visit, often run by doctors trained in Europe or the US. This country ranks among the healthiest, safest, and most liberal societies in the region, sometimes called the Switzerland of South America. There's no chaos, no noise, just quiet streets, good coffee, and a strong sense of fairness. Of course, no paradise comes without patience. Paperwork here moves slowly. Bureaucracy can stretch weeks. Property taxes are modest, about 1%, but expect lines at municipal offices and long afternoons spent over mate tea waiting for signatures. Yet somehow, that's part of the charm. Uruguay teaches you to slow down, to measure time, not by deadlines, but by sunsets. Imagine waking up to a soft fog settling over your field, hearing the sound of rain on your red-tiled roof, and realizing that for the first time in years, no one owns your time but you. That's Uruguay, not a place you visit, but a place that quietly adopts you. If freedom and simplicity are what you've been searching for and you're ready to trade noise for peace, comment, "I want to start free" below. Because in Uruguay, owning land doesn't just give you space, it gives you a new kind of citizenship, one of belonging, dignity, and peace. Georgia, where mountains guard your freedom. At the crossroads of Europe and Asia, there's a country where freedom doesn't come from wealth, it comes from the mountains. Georgia. A land shaped by wind, wine, and resilience rises from the Black Sea all the way to the snowy peaks of the Caucasus. It's a place where ancient fortresses stand beside new cafes, where strangers pour you wine before asking your name, and where the mountains seem to whisper one thing: live, simply live, proudly. Just outside Tbilisi, or Kutaisi, the capital's rhythm fades into open valleys where the price of land still feels like a secret. For $7,000 to $1,000 an acre, you can own a hillside framed by walnut trees and the sound of church bells echoing through the air. Foreigners can easily buy urban or residential property in their own name, while farmland only requires forming a small local company, a process as straightforward as registering a business online. Here, the earth doesn't care about your passport. It only asks if you're willing to stay. That's what makes Georgia special. Staying is rewarded. Buy property worth $100,000 and you can apply for a residence card. Live here for 6 years and you're eligible for citizenship. For Americans, the first step is even easier: a full year visa-free. Leave, cross into Turkey or Armenia, come back, and your year begins again. There's no rush, no chase, only the feeling that you're welcome for as long as you want to belong. Daily life here is refreshingly human. A one-bedroom apartment in Tbilisi costs about $350. Fresh fruit, bread, and cheese from the morning market, another $200. The average person lives well on $800 a month without sacrificing beauty or safety. Doctors speak English. A private clinic visit costs $30, and healthcare is modern, efficient, and personal. But numbers alone can't describe what Georgia feels like. Walk through the Kakheti wine valleys where mist clings to the vines like silk. You'll smell the warm bread, tonis puri, baked in clay ovens before sunrise. Old men lift their glasses of amber wine to the sky, saying Gaumarjos to life. Women sell pomegranates by the roadside, and children wave at buses as if every traveler is a guest, not a stranger. The people here don't hurry, they host. Hospitality isn't a gesture, it's a birthright. Of course, life here isn't polished. Bureaucracy still moves slowly, especially outside the big cities. In rural villages, English fades, and hand gestures become your best translator. But what you lose in convenience, you gain in humanity. Neighbors who show up with homemade wine, not because you asked, but because they care. There's a kind of peace that can only be found between mountains, where you stop checking the clock and start listening to the silence between the wind and the river. That's the Georgia many expats come for and never leave. If you believe that mountains can protect dreams better than money ever could, comment Georgia below. Because in this small, rugged country, freedom isn't something you buy, it's something you breathe. 3. Belize. Caribbean land, English. Simplicity. Here, $800 an acre doesn't just buy land, it buys an ocean breeze and a lifetime of peace. Welcome to Belize, the only English-speaking country in Central America, where the Caribbean still feels raw, warm, and wonderfully human. The air smells of salt and coconut. Reggae hums from a beach bar nearby, and time, like the tide, moves however it wants. Inland, in regions like Cayo or Stan Creek, the earth is rich and red, wrapped in palm forests and dotted with rivers that shimmer under the sun. Land here costs between $800 and $2,000 an acre, depending on how close you are to the sea. Farther inland, the price drops to something almost poetic cheaper than a month's rent in the U.S. And unlike many coastal countries, foreigners in Belize can own freehold land outright. Your title is registered, guaranteed, and protected under British-based law. No leaseholds, no hidden clauses. Just a small slice of the tropics that truly belongs to you. But the magic of Belize isn't only in its land, it's in how easily it lets you belong. Stay for 1 year and you can apply for permanent residency. Or if you're 45 or older with a minimum income of $2,000 a month. The country welcomes you under its QRP visa, the Qualified Retired Persons Program that grants lifetime residency. No property investment required, no long interviews, just proof that you can live here peacefully, contributing to the slow heartbeat of a Caribbean nation that still values human connection over paperwork. The rhythm of life is calm, even disarmingly so. You wake up to birdsong, not alarms. A house by the sea rents for about $500 a month, and fresh fruit, seafood, and handmade tortillas cost another $250. Total about $1,000 a month for a life most people only dream of during vacations. Healthcare is straightforward too. Public clinics provide basic treatment for free, while private visits cost $40 to $60, often with doctors trained in the UK or the US. Step outside your door, and the world feels alive but unhurried. Fishermen mend their nets under mango trees. A breeze carries the laughter of locals sharing coconut water. On the horizon, waves crash against coral reefs, the second largest in the world, glowing turquoise under the afternoon light. And as the sun dips low, the entire coast smells of grilled fish, lime, and rum, the universal language of evening peace. But even paradise has its cautions. Hurricanes sometimes visit this coast between August and October. And imported goods from electronics to cheese come with high taxes, so most residents learn to live locally and simply. That's part of the charm. Belize isn't for those chasing luxury, it's for those who want to feel human again. There's a quiet pride among the people here, Maya farmers, Garifuna fishermen, and expats who came for a year but stayed forever. They greet you not with questions, but with a smile that says you've finally found what you were looking for. If what you need is the sound of the sea, more than the noise of the city, if your heart longs for somewhere warm, real, and endlessly gentle, comment, I need ocean peace. Because in Belize, $800 doesn't just buy you a piece of land. It buys you the rhythm of waves, the kindness of strangers, and a second chance to live slow, live true, and live free. 2. North Macedonia, Europe's best-kept secret. In Europe, land under 1,000 euros per acre sounds impossible until you see Macedonia, hidden between Greece, Albania, and Bulgaria. This small Balkan nation feels like a time capsule from another century, where cafes spill onto cobblestone streets, church bells mark the hour, and life still moves at the pace of conversation. Here, people don't hurry. They linger over coffee, over stories, over sunsets reflected in the waters of Lake Ohrid. In the quiet countryside near Bitola Prilep, or around Ohrid farmland, still sells for $700 to $200 an acre. These are the green heartlands of the Balkans, fields of tobacco and sunflowers stretching toward low golden hills. Foreigners can own property here easily, not through loopholes, but through a local company registration, a process that takes just a week or two. Once it's done, the deed is fully yours, no hidden fees, no 99-year leases. In a continent where property has become a privilege, Macedonia remains one of the last places where owning land still feels human. Residency here is refreshingly straightforward. Buy a small house or start a modest business, and you can apply for a temporary residence permit. Stay 8 years legally, and citizenship is within reach, often faster with real investment or family ties. No golden visas, no inflated thresholds, just genuine contribution and time. Two things that matter more than money. The cost of living reminds you of a Europe that's quietly fading elsewhere. Rent for a cozy apartment in Skopje or Ohrid averages $300. Groceries, fresh bread, olive oil, local cheese, about $200. Altogether, a single person lives comfortably on $700 to $900 a month. Doctors charge $20 to $40 per visit, and public hospitals, though simple, are reliable. The healthcare system may not be luxurious, but it works, built on the old European idea that medicine is a service, not a business. But what truly defines Macedonia is its soul. Walk through the narrow alleys of Ohrid at dusk, and you'll smell roasted peppers from family kitchens. The sound of church bells drifts across the lake, mingling with the laughter from cafes where musicians play old Balkan ballads. The people are warm, curious, and unpretentious, quick to share a meal, quicker to make you feel at home. Winters here are cold in the highlands. Snow blankets the roofs and quiets the towns. Flights in and out of the country are few, so the world feels distant, but that's the beauty of it. Macedonia teaches you the lost art of stillness. When the rest of Europe rushes forward, this little corner holds its ground slow, steady, sincere. And when evening falls, the streets glisten under yellow lamps, reflecting off cobblestones polished by centuries of footsteps. You realize that this isn't a place you visit, it's a Europe you thought had disappeared. If you long for that kind of simplicity, for stone walls instead of glass towers and neighbors who still greet you by name. Comment, I want old Europe back, because in North Macedonia, land doesn't just cost less, it reminds you of what Europe used to be, warm, grounded, and beautifully real. 1. Nicaragua, where land is still freedom. When the world started pricing freedom, Nicaragua forgot to raise the tag. While property markets from California to Costa Rica have doubled, this Central American country remains one of the last places where land still feels like a right, not a privilege. Stretching between the Pacific and the Caribbean, Nicaragua is a nation of volcanoes, lakes, and quiet, unwavering resilience, a place that moves to the rhythm of the earth itself. In the rural provinces of Leon, Matagalpa, or Rivas, you can still find fertile plots for $700 to $200 an acre, the kind of price that seems to belong to another era. Near the Pacific coast, where the sun melts into the horizon and fishermen pull their nets at dawn, beachfront land runs around $2,000 to $3,000 an acre. And unlike many tropical nations, foreigners here are allowed 100% freehold ownership. You can buy a farm, build a home, or plant a grove of coffee trees, and it's yours, with your name written into Nicaraguan law. The government's Pensionado visa makes the path even easier. If you can show an income of at least $600 per month, you qualify for permanent residence. No age limit, no massive deposits, no waiting games. After 5 years, you're eligible for citizenship. It's a simple, transparent system designed for people who want to live quietly, not for those chasing paperwork or prestige. Daily life here is affordable in the best way. Rent in cities like Granada or Esteli averages $300 and $400 a month, while fresh produce, local cheese, and coffee cost around $200. A full, healthy life here runs about $800 to $1,000 per month. Healthcare is accessible, and humane private consultations cost only $25 to $35, and hospitals in Granada and Managua are modern, clean, and staffed with doctors who studied abroad but returned home to serve their people. But what draws most newcomers isn't the numbers, it's the feeling. Morning coffee sipped on a porch overlooking a volcano, the faint sound of colonial church bells echoing through the market, the warmth of locals who greet you with a soft smile and a simple buenos dias. There's a gentleness in the way life unfolds here, slow, steady, grounded. The soil itself feels alive, volcanic and fertile, as if reminding you that even after the hardest eruptions, the earth renews itself. Of course, Nicaragua isn't perfect. The political climate can grow tense from time to time, and you'll want to do proper due diligence before buying land. But for those who seek peace rather than perfection, this is a country that still offers space, both physical and emotional. A place where freedom isn't branded, taxed, or gated. It's just there waiting for those willing to live simply and honestly. You might find that Nicaragua doesn't offer luxury, it offers clarity. The kind that comes from waking up to birdsong instead of alarms from cooking meals with food. You grew yourself from measuring your life not in bills, but in sunsets. If your heart is ready for a second beginning, if you're done renting time and ready to own your freedom, then comment, "I'm ready to start over." Because in Nicaragua, the world may have changed its price for freedom, but here, it's still within reach. 5 countries. 5 ways to live free. From the hidden valleys of Europe to the soft Caribbean breeze, these lands remind us of something the modern world forgot, that $800 still buys more than dirt. It buys belonging. It buys mornings that start with sunlight instead of stress, and nights that end in peace instead of exhaustion. Somewhere between the vineyards of Georgia, the quiet hills of Uruguay, the turquoise shores of Belize, the cobblestone alleys of Macedonia, and the volcanic heart of Nicaragua. There's a lesson whispering through the wind. Freedom was never about how much you own, it's about where you choose to stand. Because maybe, just maybe, that's what we've all been searching for. Not more money, not more comfort, but a place that feels real. A place where you can plant something, build something, and watch it grow without permission, without debt, without noise. So tell me, which country stole your heart? Was it the mountain calm of Georgia, the European grace of Uruguay, the ocean lullaby of Belize, the timeless soul of Macedonia, or the fiery simplicity of Nicaragua? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this journey stirred something in you, subscribe to discover. Globe Places Top 10, because freedom doesn't live in a bank account. It lives on the land you dare to call your own.